another 9.0 test iteration 3 match. Whenever the test server comes up, sure I'll play the new tanks or the new maps, whatever it is that's been added in a test, but one of the other things I use the test server to do is try and feel out lines I'm thinking of going up, or play tanks I don't have yet on the live server but intend on getting. In this situation, I felt like giving the 268 line another try. I played the SU-152, the ISU, the Object 704, and the Object 268. I mostly sort of gravitated towards the 263 line. That's the one I'm actively grinding up on the live server, and it's the one I usually play on test. I quite enjoy it. But I figured maybe my impressions of the 268 line were getting a bit dated since I hadn't played it for about, I don't know, 9 months, a year. So I decided to try it out again. And here's a match in 268, obviously, on Erlenberg encounter. I decided to go west with the bulk of my team and just aggressively position. That's how I figured I would try the 268 this match. I figured I'd play aggressively, play as an assault gun the way I usually play my TDs. And straight away you can see it's paying off. We got some victims. Knock a fair bit of hit points off that T62. Now, if it wasn't for the tier 10 TD nerf, he would really be hurting. But I low rolled him and he got away. It's okay, because he's got another friend there. Takes a decent size hit. You can see the enemies moved in towards the town. They're on cap at the moment. So we're trying to gain the high ground, they're trying to cap. Given the choice, I think the high ground at the moment is more important. You can see here I'm really moving a lot. I'm not sitting in a bush like pubbies do in TDs. I'm actually aggressively positioning my tank to shoot things. I'm moving around. I'm traversing my tracks rather than relying on gun traverse. Just getting myself aimed on, ready to shoot as fast as I can. Obviously as well, the more rapidly and unpredictably you move in this thing, the better its armor holds up. Quite often pubbies bitch about the 268. They say it's got too much armor, it's hard to kill. I think that's a load of shit. The 268 doesn't have armor. If I just pause this quickly. The lower plate here, obvious weak spot. I think the hatch is a weak spot. Another obvious weak spot is the stereoscopic rangefinder up on top of the hatch there. Now the other thing is, if I just move the view over a bit, you can see this hole here. That's where the gun sight penetration is, I believe. I'm pretty sure that's what it is, the gunner's direct vision scope. You can see this outline here. What it is this whole area running down underneath the gun mantlet, down above the driver's hatch. This whole area is a slightly darker color. As I move the view around, you can see it's completely flat. So while the gun mantlet is well armored, if you can hit right there, that's flat. And flat on the armor on the 268 isn't actually that impressive. I think it's only like 240 something, 250 something maybe. Either way, it's thin enough that if I aim there with my Centurion, I pen every shot. I know that for a fact. The other thing important to note about the 268 is it's an IS-8 chassis, or it's, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's an IS-8 chassis. It looks like one. I think there was some technicality. It's not quite, but it doesn't matter. The armor layout's similar. That's the point. I think it was a size-related thing, but the armor layout is the same as the IS, or the angles are the same as the IS-8. The angles and shapes aren't about a thickness. But this, if you can get perpendicular or near perpendicular on the pike, rather than shooting it from directly in front, although that usually works too, I find it's not that thick, you'll pen it. The other thing is if the 268 is turned a corner, he's looking at someone else, he's giving you these sorts of angles, you just pen straight through the casemate. It might be angled if you look at it from there, but if you look at it from above, you can see there's not that much slope to it actually, or from the side, it's not very steeply sloped at all. That's maybe, I don't know, 15-20 degrees from vertical, or from vertical. So it's quite boxy actually. You can pen through there very easily. Obviously you've got the side armor and the rear armor is quite thin. So the 268's really not that armoured. I don't know what puppies are talking about. What it does have is angles, of course, much like the IS-8, and the better you can work those angles, the more likely you are to bounce things. So I would say key in the 268 is anytime you're not actively shooting somebody or cloaked up in a bush, you should be trying to move, just to minimise the chance of them getting a shot off on your armour at an angle where they can pen. So I don't want to be sitting in front of that E4 and take another big hit off him. Duck back down behind the ridge line. I can't speak, I've been up all night. So he's behind a building. He's not going to want to come out from it with only 40% of his health. Sorry, I should have turned the actual hit point bars on, but I didn't notice. It doesn't matter anyway, you can probably tell roughly how much hit points they've got. Unfortunately, when you watch replays from the test server, for some reason it has a habit of resetting all the settings back to default. So every time I put on a test server replay, I have to go in and change the overhead markers, change all the settings for that kind of thing, because it resets them. Don't know why. So ISU there, I'm not sure, I think he was a bot. Either way, it's an ISU, I'm going to take a shot where I can get it. And again, you can see I'm positioning my tank. And there's the auto-aim bug again, the reticle stuck on the building to my right instead of the guys auto-aiming. In that situation, it's a T-57, I'm not likely to bounce no matter where I hit it, and he's not moving. So why not just click him, let the aim snap on, wait for it to close in a bit, and then take him out. Obviously, if that was the kind of tank I might have a chance of bouncing off, like an E100 or a Mouse or an IS-7, I would not have just auto-aimed that shot, and unless I had rear armor, but even then it would have been a bit risky. But with a T-57 like that, and he's not moving, it's, you know, I'll get a quick shot off and then move somewhere else. So I was looking for a tracking shot through the drive sprocket there on the E100, but wasn't forthcoming. I think I might have hit one of the little support beams that hold up the roof on those houses. Or there may have been, I don't know, it may have even RNG'd to the edge of the circle. I don't know where the shot went. So with him hiding behind that house, I'm looking for shots where I can hit this mouse from. Again, there's a lot of buildings in my way. And so I decide I'll just wait for him to move into a better position. You can see the E100's still in a place where he's going to be annoying to hit. Just hit halt, so there's your hit points on him. 1586 on the mouse, 2149 on the E100. E100 starts getting clipped into from the front by a T-57, I would assume, since that's our only autoloader other than the T-69, which wouldn't do that much damage. So I figured maybe because he's getting T-57 he would back out. Sure enough. Took a little bit of patience to get him, but eventually we did. Now it's just the mouse left, and I think I would very much like to get a shot into him. Got to do a little bit of finicky positioning here. But I get a shot in and managed to get the kill. So a pretty nice little game in the 268. Not hiding in back, shooting from a bush like your average 268 driver, or at least the average NA 268 driver, but actually getting up in spots where I could really push into the enemy and force them back. This wasn't like really assault gun gameplay, where I was getting up in people's faces, because Erlenberg doesn't lend itself to that. But it was, you know, fairly flexible, mobile 268 gameplay. If you want to see true assault gunning, I'd have to get Himmelsdorf or Ruhenberg or something. But sorry, it was not a bad match, and I think I might be rethinking my position on the 268 line. The 268 certainly is a very comfortable tank to drive. I quite like it. My problem with the line previously had been the ISU and the 704, or the SU, the ISU and the 704, which are all fairly similar in terms of mobility. Because they're fairly big, they're slow, they don't have any armor worth speaking of. The 704 used to, but power creep has left it behind. Most mediums can pen it frontally now. And their traverse rate is awful. That's the thing that got me. They turn like boats. Whereas the 268's kind of responsive on the controls. The 263 is very much so, and the entire 263 line is centered around mobility. But, you know, I can't deny there is really something special about slamming somebody for most of their hit points from across the map, or even getting up in their face and wiping them out from up close. So I think once I do get to the 263, or even maybe as I'm working up the 263 line, I will also be working towards a 268. But of course, me being me, I'm not going to be playing them as defensive hide in bush campy tank destroyers. I'll be playing them as assault guns, because fuck puppies. That's why I like playing aggressively. It's a lot of fun, and with these higher tier Soviet tank destroyers that actually have armor and mobility, you can really do it. It's really quite rewarding when you do it.